I am in love with my married neighbor who said to me I feel invisible at home. And after babysitting her kids, I am more confused than ever. I know this is going to sound terrible, and I am probably going to get roasted in the comments. But I need to get this off my chest, because I cannot talk to anyone in my real life about this situation. I am a 35-year-old guy, and I think I have fallen in love with my married neighbor. Let me give you some background. 6 months ago, I moved into a townhouse after my long-term girlfriend and I broke up. It was a messy split. She said I was emotionally unavailable and never really listened to what she was saying. Whatever. The new place is in a quiet suburban neighborhood, and that is where I met Lisa. Lisa lives next door with her husband Mike and their 3 kids. The first time I saw her, she was in her front yard gardening in the morning sun, and I literally stopped walking to my car because she was so beautiful. When she noticed me staring like an idiot, she waved and smiled, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Over the past few months, we have developed what I'd call a genuine friendship. We both leave for work around the same time, so we often end up walking to our cars together and chatting. She always asks about my day and actually listens to my answers, which is something my ex never did. When I told her about the promotion I got at work, she seemed genuinely excited for me and said Mike never tells me about his work stuff anymore. It is nice to hear someone who is passionate about their career. That comment stuck with me because it suggested she is not getting what she needs from her husband. She is smart, funny, and has this laugh that makes me want to say anything just to hear it again. She remembers things I tell her. Like when I mentioned I was nervous about a presentation, she checked in the next day to ask how it went. She is always doing thoughtful things for her kids, like packing these elaborate lunches with little notes, and I cannot help but imagine how amazing she would be with someone who actually appreciated her. The thing is, I don't think she and Mike are very compatible. I have observed them together, and there is just no spark there. Mike is this serious, uptight finance guy who barely looks up from his phone when he is talking to people. Lisa is creative and warm. She is an art teacher at the local elementary school. When they are in their backyard together, which isn't often, they barely interact. It is like they are roommates more than husband and wife. I know Lisa has noticed me too. She lights up when she sees me in the mornings, and our conversations have been getting longer and more personal. Last week she mentioned that Mike has been working late a lot, and she feels invisible in her own house. When she said that, there was this moment where we just looked at each other, and I swear there was something there. I have been respectful of her boundaries, of course. I am not some creep who hits on married women, but I cannot help feeling like we have a real connection that she is not getting at home. Which brings me to yesterday evening when everything got complicated. Mike knocked on my door around 6 p.m. looking stressed out. Hey man, I hate to ask this, but Lisa's mom is in the hospital about 2 hours away. Lisa drove down there this afternoon, and I just got called into an emergency work thing that I absolutely cannot miss. Could you possibly watch the kids for a few hours? I know it is a huge favor. I said yes immediately. This felt like the universe giving me a chance to do something meaningful for Lisa's family. Plus, I figured it would help me understand what being part of her life might actually look like. That was a mistake. These kids were absolute demons. There are 3 of them: Emma, who is 11, Jake, who is 8, and Sophie, who is 5. Emma is this entitled brat who questioned every single thing I said when I told them it was dinner time. She rolled her eyes and said Mom always lets us finish our show first. When I said we needed to clean up the toys before dinner, Jake threw himself on the floor and started screaming that I wasn't his dad and couldn't tell him what to do. Sophie seemed sweet at first, but she joined in with whatever chaos the other 2 were creating. When I finally got them to eat, Emma kept making comments like this: "Isn't how Mom makes sandwiches and Dad would have ordered pizza." The little one spilled juice all over herself and started crying. And when I tried to help clean her up, Emma snapped, "You are not supposed to touch her. Stranger danger." The worst part was when I suggested we watch a movie after dinner. They couldn't agree on anything and started fighting with each other. Emma called Jake stupid. Jake threw a pillow at Sophie. Sophie started crying again. I tried to be the adult and separate them, but Emma looked me dead in the eye and said, "I don't have to listen to you. "You are not our real dad and you never will be." That hit me harder than it should have. By the time Mike got home around 9 p.m., I was exhausted and honestly questioning everything. The kids I had imagined myself bonding with, maybe even becoming a father figure to someday, had made it clear that I was nothing more than an unwelcome intruder in their space. "How did it go?" Mike asked, and I could see the genuine concern in his eyes for his kids. "Fine," I lied. "They were great." He smiled with this obvious relief and pride. "They are good kids. Lisa's done an amazing job raising them. I know I work too much, but she makes up for it by being twice the parent either of us needs to be." The way he talked about her with such admiration and love made something twist in my stomach. When I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about what Emma had said. "You are not our real dad and you never will be." The thing is, she was right. Even if something did happen between Lisa and me, I had always be the guy who broke up their family. Those kids would never forgive me, and probably never accept me. But then, I started thinking, maybe their behavior was actually proof that something is wrong in that house. Happy kids from stable homes don't act out like that with a trusted neighbor. Maybe they are picking up on tension between their parents that I have been sensing too. I am so confused right now. I know, I love Lisa, and I believe we could have something beautiful together. But seeing how her kids reacted to me has me wondering if it is even possible. Would they always hate me? Could I handle being resented by 3 children for the rest of my life? At the same time, shouldn't Lisa have a chance to be with someone who truly sees and appreciates her? Mike barely seems to notice she exists half the time. She deserves better than that. I just don't know what to do with these feelings. Has anyone else been in a situation like this? How do you handle loving someone who is unavailable at it? I am seeing a lot of judgment in the comments, which I expected. But please, try to understand that I am not talking about breaking up a happy family. I am talking about a woman who seems lonely and unappreciated in her marriage. Isn't she allowed to be happy? Edit 2. To the people saying I am reading too much into friendly conversations. You weren't there. You didn't see the way she looked at me when she talked about feeling invisible. Sometimes, you just know when there is a connection. Update 1. I wasn't going to update this. But some people were asking for more details. And honestly, I need to process what has been happening since my last post. First, thank you to the few people who actually gave me constructive advice instead of just calling me names. To everyone else saying I am delusional or a homewrecker. You don't know the full situation. You are seeing one snapshot and making judgments about people you have never met. The babysitting thing really shook me up. But I have been thinking about it more, and I realize I was probably too hard on the kids. They were stressed about their grandmother being in the hospital, and they were probably confused about having a relative stranger watching them. Kids act out when they are upset. That doesn't necessarily mean anything about their home life. What has been happening since then has actually made me more convinced that Lisa and I have a real connection. The morning after I babysat, Lisa came over to thank me. She was standing on my doorstep with this grateful smile, holding a plate of homemade cookies. "Mike told me what a lifesaver you were last night," she said. "I cannot believe you stepped in like that on such short notice. Most people wouldn't do that for neighbors. They barely know." "Of course," I said. "How is your mom doing?" "Better. Thank you for asking. But I have to admit, I was worried about leaving the kids with Mike when he had that work emergency. He gets so overwhelmed when he has to handle them alone." She paused and looked at me with this expression. I couldn't quite read. It means a lot to know there are people I can count on. We ended up talking for almost 20 minutes on my doorstep. She told me more about her mom's health scare, and I found myself really listening and asking follow-up questions. At one point she said, "It is so nice to talk to someone who actually cares about what I am saying." That comment felt significant. Then yesterday, something even more telling happened. I was getting my mail when Lisa came outside to water her flowers. She was wearing this sundress that looked amazing on her, and when she saw me, her whole face lit up. "Perfect timing," she said. "I was just thinking about you." "Oh yeah, good thoughts, I hope. I was actually wondering if you might want to come to Jake's soccer game this Saturday. Mike has to work, and I hate sitting by myself in the stands." My heart started racing. "You want me to come to your son's soccer game? Well, you are practically part of the family now after helping us out. And honestly, Jake's been asking about you. I think you made more of an impression than you realized. This completely contradicted my experience with Jake during the babysitting. But maybe he had been thinking about it and realized I was trying to help. Kids process things differently than adults. I would love to come, I told her. Great. It is at 10 a.m. at the community center. I will save you a spot next to me. The way she said that last part, with this little smile, felt like more than just friendly neighbor interaction. She is specifically choosing to spend time with me, even though she could have asked any of her other mom friends to sit with her. I have been thinking about this invitation all week. Mike will be at work, so it will be just Lisa and me watching her son play soccer. The other parents will probably assume we are together. Part of me wonders if this is Lisa's way of testing what it would feel like to be with me. Maybe she has been having the same thoughts I have about us. But she needs to see how we work together in a family setting before she admits her feelings. I know some of you are going to say I am reading too much into this, but you have to understand the context. Lisa has been married to Mike for over a decade, and she is clearly not getting her emotional needs met. When someone in that situation meets someone who truly sees and appreciates them, feelings develop naturally. I am not trying to break up a family, but if Lisa is realizing that she deserves better than being ignored and taken for granted, shouldn't she have the right to pursue happiness? The soccer game is tomorrow, and I have no idea what to expect. Maybe nothing will happen, and it will just be a friendly neighbor thing. But maybe it will be the moment when we both stop pretending we don't feel something for each other. I will update after the game and let you know how it goes. Update 2. I am honestly not sure if I should even post this update because it is going to make me look like a complete idiot. But I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some perspective on what the hell happened. The soccer game did not go the way I expected. I showed up at the community center at 9:50 a.m., 10 minutes early because I didn't want to keep Lisa waiting. I brought a coffee for her from the Starbucks drive-thru. She had mentioned loving their caramel macchiatos during one of our morning conversations. When I found Lisa in the stands, she was sitting with 2 other women who I assumed were other soccer moms. She waved when she saw me and pointed to an empty spot she had saved. "You came," she said, seeming genuinely happy to see me. "This is my neighbor I was telling you about. The one who helped us out with the kids last week." The other women smiled and introduced themselves. One of them, Karen, immediately started asking me questions. "So you are single?" she asked. Lisa mentioned, "You just moved to the neighborhood." "Yes, I am single," I said, glancing at Lisa to see her reaction. "Well, you picked a great neighborhood. Lots of families, very safe. Are you planning to settle down here? Looking to start a family of your own?" This felt like a loaded question, especially with Lisa sitting right there. "I am definitely open to it," I said. "If I found the right person." Again, I looked at Lisa, but she was focused on the field where the kids were warming up. I tried to follow along even though I don't know much about youth soccer. Jake was number 7, and every time he touched the ball, Lisa would cheer loudly. "That is my boy," she would shout. "Go Jake." I started cheering too, which felt good, like I was part of her family's support system. About halfway through the first half, Jake scored a goal. Lisa jumped up and screamed with excitement. Then, without thinking, I jumped up too and put my arm around her shoulders in celebration. She went completely stiff under my touch. "Sorry," I said quickly, dropping my arm. Got caught up in the moment. "It is fine," she said. But she sat down immediately, and there was this awkward tension for the rest of the half. During halftime, one of the other moms, Jennifer, started talking about her divorce. "I wasted 15 years trying to fix something that was fundamentally broken. Now I am with someone who actually appreciates me." I glanced at Lisa again, wondering if she was relating to this story. "How did you know it was really over?" Lisa asked quietly. "When I realized I was happier without him than with him," Jennifer said. "When I stopped making excuses for why we weren't connecting anymore." The conversation continued, but I noticed Lisa had gotten very quiet. At one point, she pulled out her phone and texted someone. A few minutes later, her phone buzzed with a response, and she smiled at whatever she had received. "Mike?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, He wanted to know how Jake was doing. He feels terrible about missing the game. Jake got fouled pretty hard by a kid from the other team, and he went down crying. Lisa immediately tensed up, and when the ref didn't call anything, she started yelling, "Are you kidding me? That was obviously a foul." Without thinking, I stood up and shouted, "Come on, ref, open your eyes." The other parents around us turned to stare, and Lisa looked mortified. "You don't need to do that," she said quietly. "I am just supporting Jake," I said. "He is not your kid," she said, and the way she said it made my stomach drop. I tried to make conversation, but Lisa's responses were short and distracted. When Jake's team won, she cheered, but she didn't look at me when she did it. After the game, Jake ran over to us, still sweating and excited from the win. "Did you see my goal?" he asked. "I saw it, baby. I am so great game, buddy." Jake looked at me with confusion. "Who are you again?" "This is our neighbor," Lisa said quickly. "He came to watch you play." "Oh, okay." Jake shrugged and turned back to his mom. "Can we get ice cream to celebrate?" She looked at me. I suggested. "My treat, to celebrate the win." Lisa hesitated. "That is sweet, but this is kind of our tradition, just me and Jake." I felt stupid for asking, but I tried to play it off. "Of course, family time. Maybe another time, maybe," she said. But she didn't sound convincing. Walking back to my car, I felt confused and deflated. The whole morning had felt off from the moment I put my arm around her. It was like she had built up walls that hadn't been there before. When I got home, I sat in my car for a while trying to figure out what had gone wrong. Maybe I had been too forward with the physical contact. Maybe I would misread her signals about wanting me there. Or maybe I had been misreading everything all along. I keep replaying our conversations from the past few weeks, looking for signs that I might have been seeing what I wanted to see instead of what was actually there. The invitation to the soccer game, was that really about spending time with me? Or was she just being neighborly to someone who had helped her family? The comment about feeling invisible in her marriage, was that an opening for me to pursue her? Or was she just venting to a friend? I don't know anymore. All I know is that I spent the whole game feeling like I was trying too hard to be something I am not. Jake's stepfather, Lisa's partner, part of their family, and clearly, that is not what Lisa wanted from me. I haven't seen her since Saturday. We usually run into each other in the mornings, but either our schedules have been off or she has been avoiding me. Maybe that is my answer right there. Final update: I am shaking as I write this. My phone has been buzzing non-stop for the past hour, and I don't know what to do. Lisa found my Reddit posts. I still don't know how. Maybe someone she knows saw them and recognized the details. Maybe she went looking after I acted weird at the soccer game. All I know is that an hour ago, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Is this you?" Attached was a screenshot of my first post. My blood went cold. I tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. A few minutes later, another text came through. "Don't call me. We need to talk face to face. I am coming over in 20 minutes. I spent those 20 minutes pacing around my living room, trying to figure out what I was going to say. How do you explain something like this? How do you tell someone you have been posting about your feelings for them on the internet for strangers to read? When the doorbell rang, I considered not answering, but I could see Lisa through the window, and she looked angry in a way I had never seen before. I opened the door, and she immediately pushed past me into my house. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she said, turning to face me with this expression of disgust and disbelief. "Lisa, I can explain what? That you have been obsessing over me for months, that you have been analyzing every conversation we have had and looking for signs that I want to leave my husband for you." Her voice was shaking, and I could see she was fighting back tears. "That you think my children are demons, and that you have been watching me and Mike to decide whether our marriage is worth saving." "It is not like that," I said. But my voice sounded weak, even to me. "Then what is it like?" "Because I just read 3 posts where you talk about me like I am some prize you are trying to win, where you convince yourself that I am unhappy, and you are the solution to all my problems. She pulled out her phone and started reading from my posts. Lisa deserves better than being ignored and taken for granted. Mike barely seems to notice she exists. I cannot help but imagine how amazing she would be with someone who actually appreciated her. Hearing my own words read back to me made me realize how they sounded from her perspective. Do you understand how violated I feel right now? She continued. I thought we were friends. You were a nice neighbor who was helping us out, but you have been dissecting every interaction we have had, looking for evidence that I want to be with you. I do think we are friends, I said. And maybe something more. Stop, she said loudly. Just stop. There is no something more. There has never been something more. I am happily married to my husband, and I love my children. And I have never given you any indication that I want anything other than a friendly neighbor relationship with you. But you said you felt invisible in your marriage. I was venting to a friend about a rough patch. Every marriage has ups and downs. That doesn't mean I want to blow up my entire life. She started pacing around my living room, and I could see how upset she was. The soccer game invitation, that was me being nice to someone who helped my family. The conversations on the way to work, that was me being a decent human being to my neighbor. The fact that I ask about your day, that is called basic politeness. Each point she made hit me like a physical blow. And the worst part, she continued, is that you have been posting about my children online, calling them names, speculating about our family dynamics, talking about them like obstacles to your fantasy relationship with me. I never meant to hurt them. You called them demons. You said they proved something was wrong in our house. You have been evaluating whether you could handle being resented by 3 children for the rest of your life. Like you have any right to be part of their lives. I didn't know what to say. Seeing it from her perspective, everything I had written sounded so much worse than it had in my head. Lisa, I am sorry. I never meant for you to see those posts. I was just trying to work through my feelings. Your feelings about my marriage and my family that are none of your business, she said. You don't get to analyze our relationship and decide I would be happier with you. She stopped pacing and looked directly at me. I need you to understand something very clearly. I love my husband. We have been together for 15 years. And yes, we go through rough patches. But that is what marriage is. We work through things together. Mike is a good man and a good father. And he doesn't deserve to have some neighbor plotting to steal his wife. I wasn't plotting. You were fantasizing about breaking up my family. You were looking for signs that my marriage was failing so you could swoop in and save me. The anger in her voice was devastating. But worse was the hurt underneath it. I trusted you, she said quietly. When Mike was at work and I needed help with the kids, I trusted you. When I was worried about my mom, I trusted you enough to share that with you. And you turned all of that into evidence that I wanted to be with you. I felt sick to my stomach. I am sorry, Lisa. I am so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, she said. You have made it impossible for us to be neighbors anymore. I cannot have you watching me and my family, waiting for signs that we are struggling so you can make your move. She headed toward the door, then stopped and turned back. And if you ever post about me or my family online again, I will call the police. Do you understand me? Yes, I said. Stay away from us, all of us. Don't wave when you see me outside. Don't try to make conversation. Don't offer to help with anything. Just leave us alone. She left, slamming the door behind her. I have been sitting here for an hour, reading through my own posts and trying to understand how I got to this point. How did I convince myself that a friendly neighbor was sending me romantic signals? How did I turn normal human kindness into evidence of mutual attraction? The truth is, I think I was so lonely after my breakup that I projected all my wants and needs onto the first woman who was nice to me. Lisa was beautiful and kind, and instead of just appreciating her friendship, I built an entire fantasy around her. I convinced myself that her marriage was unhappy because I wanted it to be unhappy. I convinced myself that she was giving me signals because I wanted her to be giving me signals. I turned her normal, decent behavior into something it never was. And now I have lost even the friendship we did have. I don't know what happens next. I still live next door to them, so I will have to see them around the neighborhood. I am thinking about looking for a new place because I don't know how to face Lisa after this. and I cannot stand the thought of Mike finding out what I was thinking about his wife. I guess the lesson here is that sometimes what feels like love is really just loneliness and projection, and that when someone tells you they are happily married, you should believe them.